The future of Sonic, ladies and gentlemen. The future of Sonic. The future of Sonic here looks so freaking awesome. Like, it is as bright as if ever gotten since, what? Forces? Yeah, since then. Yeah, listen, in case the title of the video didn't demonstrate that and me holding this mug kind of illustrates it, the future of Sonic, ladies and gentlemen, is at an all-time high as it's really in the steps and all in the right direction. No matter which angle you could look at it, Sonic is now at a point where he's finally deserving the recognition that he needed after everything that went on in the 2010s, after Sonic 06, after all the whole rough transition to 3D and quotation and all that kind of stuff. Now it is his time to finally showcase to everybody what made him so lovable in the 90s and what makes him so lovable now. Because with Sonic Frontiers, all the updates, Sonic Superstars, Sonic Origins and Origins Plus, and what we have to about those games, and now a mobile game called Sonic Dream Team. I think that's what it's called. I don't remember because, well, by the time I'm making this video anyway, it was announced and released and all that kind of stuff. Point is, there is so much right now that we're looking forward towards Sonic, and we have experience with Sonic the Hedgehog here, that it makes me wonder what else is in store for Sonic at this point in time. Like, what could happen in 2025 and 2026? Could we have the things that we've always wanted? Could we have a sequel to Frontiers? Sonic Adventure 3 by any chance? 2D modern Sonic? The possibilities are endless, and honestly, I don't think I'm gonna dive into each and every aspect here in this video alone. It's probably gonna be broken down into various segments. But of course, in terms of the future is bright, the reason why I say this is because when you look at Sonic Frontiers as the clearest example of that, you see that it was the revival of what we all fell in love with Sonic, in terms of the 3D aspects at least, because as far as I remember, aside from 3D Blast, Sonic Adventure was the first 3D Sonic game, and it definitely illustrated the things that makes a 3D Sonic game work. And over time, those things, you know, some things were innovated, some things were removed, some things just completely were thrown out the window, all that kind of stuff. But with Sonic Frontiers recently, with all the updates and all that kind of stuff, it makes you have this reminder, this sort of like reminiscent feeling of like, this is how I felt when I played Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast or Sonic Adventure DX on the Nintendo GameCube in 1998, and in 2003. This is how I felt growing up with Sonic in the 3D world, and Frontiers really demonstrated that, and it definitely showcased everything that it wanted to do and did right in its initial release, and fixed on some of all the problems that it had during the updates, with Update 3 really demonstrating sort of like what 3D Sonic could be like moving forward in terms of a sequel, in terms of like a different style of a game with the playable characters, with Sonic and all that kind of stuff. With Frontiers, you see that we're in a revival state of Sonic in terms of his characterization, storylines, all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I am so happy about that, because like many others, I grew up with the adventure games. I was the one that grew up with 3D Sonic before 2D Sonic, and it's something to me that feels like a great impact in terms of my childhood and in terms of how I view games from a story, from a character perspective, and also from a music perspective. Because let's be honest, Sonic music never fails. Unless you're Sonic Superstars and Sonic 4, then okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So with the foundation of Frontiers on the 3D side of things, this makes you wonder in terms of like, what more can they improve upon? And honestly, for like the future of 3D Sonic in this case would have to be clearly continue with the open zone idea. That was absolutely incredible. It was absolutely fantastic, and it worked really well. There were certain things that you would have to sort of tweak and improve on, which is, you know, better environmental design, better, you know, platforming and controls in some cases, because my god, Update 3 really reminded us how janky Sonic is in Frontiers regarding movement and controls, especially for platforming, and just improve on the other playable characters as well and their movesets and all that kind of stuff. And whatever didn't work in Frontiers, forget about it in the next game. Do not try to improve it, because if you try to improve what didn't work and you fail, you're gonna end up with something like Sonic 06, in my opinion. You're gonna end up with something like that. And so if you really want to fix on the things that you know that can work, yes, you can do that for Sonic, but if it didn't work for Frontiers and you're gonna try and fix it for the next game, don't. Just stick with what already works, improve on that, and maybe if you want to add a little bit of new mechanics there, by all means go for it. Something that what Tears of the Kingdom did with Breath of the Wild, something that Marvel Spider-Man 2 did with Marvel Spider-Man, you know? You continue with the structure of what was already presented, and you just work your way up with that and refine what already worked in the process. And something like that would be amazing for Sonic Frontiers 2, for a Sonic Adventure 3 in my case, because I would really love a Sonic Adventure 3. I know that Sonic 06 technically counts as Sonic Adventure 3, but I don't care. I generally do not care about that take because we need a proper Sonic Adventure 3, and Frontiers demonstrates that that is possible now, and Iizuka and Sonic Team would really want to work on that. So definitely for the future of 3D Sonic, better layouts, better platforming, in terms of like cyberspace, like more of that side, more side content that makes the world feel a lot more alive, you know, and better environmental design, all that kind of stuff would really work well for 3D Sonic. And also keep the serious tone of Sonic, because if there's one thing about 3D Sonic that I loved and many loved growing up, was that he was the shonen protagonist in a video game. He was the shonen video game protagonist for platformers. He had a story in the 3D Sonic games. There was like this loose continuity of sorts, but there was this feeling of like each game was sort of like the continuation of the next regarding the story that was happening and all the characters and things like that. And it sucked that in the 2010s, all that was just completely removed from the equation. And now with Frontiers, we have that serious storyline again. We still have a Sonic that is still quippy, he's still funny and snarky and, you know, sometimes rude in your face, but not so much like a Saturday morning cartoon character, but more of like an actual shonen protagonist that we all fell in love when, again, we played Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, on the Nintendo GameCube, when it came down to actually experiencing Sonic. So that would be amazing for 3D Sonic. But in terms of 2D Sonic though, now that's where I want to throw in all my takes in that basket, baby. Now with 2D Sonic, I have a lot more opinions in regards to like how they can improve on it and formulas and things like that, because you have to keep in mind that while I really enjoyed Sonic Superstars, and trust me, I do, to me it's one of my favorites so far in terms of the 2023 catalog, and we had a lot this year, by the way, as like that tangent. But regarding Sonic and 2D and all that kind of stuff, Sonic Superstars was, again, a good first step in the right direction towards modernizing classic Sonic, but at the same time, we've had classic Sonic for the past 3 years already with, you know, Origins, Origins Plus, and then, you know, you could get Mania for 20 bucks, which is $40 less than the $60 with Sonic Superstar. So while I commend the effort of trying to bring a modern classic Sonic game, I wish that in the 2D aspects, for the future of Sonic at least, we bring more of the modern elements and we try to really innovate the 2D platforming aspects of Sonic, because as much as I love classic Sonic, I want to have a revolutionizing take on the classic Sonic formula, and I think a lot of Sonic fan games have done their take on it in some aspects and things like that, almost to the point where they were able to develop games like Spark the Electric Jester and also Freedom Planet, because those games kind of originally were on a 2D plane of existence, or at least Freedom Planet still is, and I still have to play those games. But those games are clear examples of how you can refine the classic Sonic formula and also change and make it a whole lot better in some aspects. And I think Sonic in that case definitely should have that. I mean, take a good look at Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure, the whole shebang on the DS era in terms of Sonic games, and also Sonic Advance 3, you can see that you can innovate on the classic Sonic formula. And I'm not saying that Superstars didn't do that, it's just that with Superstars, it needed a little bit more to make it stand out as a $60 game. But regarding 2D Sonic and the future of that, I would love more modern Sonic, definitely on that aspect. A proper Sonic Rush 3, much like a proper Sonic Adventure 3, would be super amazing. If not, a collection of the advanced games for the Nintendo Switch and also the Rush games and the Sonic Colors DS as like a package would be totally incredible. I mean, if you could do that for Sonic Origins, it would mean the world, at least on Nintendo's front, to also port those games, because I had my fun with the Advanced Trilogy, I had my fun with Rush Adventure specifically, and also Colors on the DS, and it just would be awesome to see that, and also to fix the mistakes of what Sonic 4 tried to do in terms of a 2D modern Sonic. So yeah, definitely on that front, a lot more opinions on that probably for a future video, but for the most part, it's all about incorporating modern Sonic into the 2D realm and allowing more of that Rush style formula or that advanced style formula to really flow through and really innovate the classic style, so it does feel like a proper classic Sonic game or a proper modern 2D Sonic game, regardless of who is the main character, whether it's classic Sonic or modern Sonic. It doesn't really matter. Which then leads me to a couple of additional stuff for the future of Sonic and why I think it's looking bright. I forgot to mention boss fights for Sonic Frontiers, because that's also a staple of what I want the future of Sonic to be like regarding boss fights, regarding like that atmosphere and that sense of like seriousness, and really showing us how strong Super Sonic is, because that's also another thing that I loved about Superstars and Frontiers. They demonstrate the potential power of Super Sonic. More so Frontiers than Superstars, because Superstars' true final boss was like as you would expect for a classic Sonic game, but with Frontiers, you were constantly being Super Sonic in every single boss fight, and they really wanted to demonstrate the true power of Super Sonic, and Update 3 really elevated that with giving us Super Sonic 2 or Cyber Sonic or however the hell you want to call it. And so having that on top of what I already mentioned for the future of both 3D and 2D Sonic, that would be incredible as well. Again, music, you gotta improve more on that. You gotta really showcase more of the 90s pop elements for classic Sonic. If you want to continue with that, it would be amazing on that front. Modern Sonic, keep what worked with Frontiers. Have Kellen Quinn be a part of the Sonic team, because trust me, he did an amazing job with the soundtrack as is. He did phenomenal with his rendition of I'm Here. Trust me, he sang with Crush 40. I think it's just perfect for him. He's the perfect successor of Crush 40. It would mean a lot to everybody who enjoyed Frontiers because of that alone. And we need more of that. Like, that has to be the standard in terms of modern Sonic moving forward. But aside from all that, I'm just super excited. I don't want to overextend my thoughts on this a little bit more, because I do have a video of trying to make the perfect Sonic game in terms of all of these ideas, and I really want to flesh these ideas out in a more thought out manner, in a more scripted manner, in a more organized manner. But my point with this video here was just laying out my feelings of Sonic at the moment, and so far it is amazing. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that the future of Sonic is looking bright. Not just because of the click view rate and video impressions and, you know, whatever, trying to make that YouTube money. I genuinely believe that Sonic is in a bright spot in terms of, you know, everything else surrounding him. And you have to keep in mind, I didn't even cover media. I didn't even cover the IDW comics. I didn't even cover anything besides the games. And that says a lot of what Sonic is going to be moving forward. Like, he is the mascot character of Sega. And I like that Sega are finally acknowledging that, while also ensuring that they give enough to Sonic Team, they give enough to them, and they continue on with that. Because at first I thought Sonic Team wasn't as ambitious and they're just putting Sonic because, you know, marketing stuff and whatnot. But now I truly see that they want to provide more to the fans in terms of, okay, you want a 2D Sonic game, here's, you know, for example, Superstars. If you want a 3D Sonic game, here's Frontiers, and these are the foundations of what we're gonna sort of lay the groundwork for in terms of future titles. And because of that, it's super exciting. Like, I am super hyped to be a Sonic fan now. Probably not as much as all the other Sonic tubers that are out there, because you gotta keep in mind, I also love Mega Man, I also love Mario, I also love Pokemon, despite everything that I've said on that front. I'm more variety and content and things like that, which is why I do the reviews, by the way. You should totally check those out if you're, you know, if you're a fan of the channel. But in terms of Sonic here, it's gonna be amazing. I'm super excited with the mobile game. I hate that the mobile game is on Apple Arcade only, but, you know, just by the footage alone, I definitely believe, like I mentioned earlier, it will be for the Nintendo Switch at some point, or they'll probably use that as like the testing grounds for a future 3D Sonic game in that style and all that kind of stuff. But again, the future looks bright for Sonic, and honestly, it's just gonna be amazing. As a Sonic fan, I'm proud to be a Sonic fan now more than ever, and honestly, it's just gonna be awesome. It just is. But besides all of that, let me know your thoughts, because I think I extended this way past 10 minutes, but I don't care. You get to hear me ramble for that long, and you guys get to see just how excited I am as a Sonic fan. But keep in mind that all other projects are in the works. For those that are aware of all those works, trust me, they're in it, you know. Those reviews are slowly being made and all that kind of stuff. It's just that in the context with these videos, I think discussion videos would work a little bit in trying to keep things consistent, I guess. And if I do have to make these videos, they'll probably be around this length so that I can just let out my raw emotions out and my feelings in an unscripted manner. And then when I make those reviews, they're more for me, I guess. I don't know. But stay tuned for all that kind of stuff. Mega Man X8, Ace Attorney. I'll probably do some Sonic stuff, like I said, classic Sonic maybe, in terms of a review marathon, or maybe Sonic Battle. We'll see about all that. All I know is I have a lot of projects. I want to hear your thoughts. Sonic is back, baby, and it's just the time of the year to be a Sonic fan. Like, yes, yes!